Hello everyone. My name is Neo. Nice to see you again. I'll be the one hosting this month's community call. So I'm just quickly going to go over the talking points for this call, which should last about an hour. So firstly, I'm going to start with the community member of the month, who's been picked as, well, it's Mulu, who has a MiniDapp in development that we might be able to show you during the call. Then we will go over Decentraday and its recent success, as well as our recent partnership with Athena Labs, what they're bringing to Minima, and our DePIN listing on CoinGecko. Then we'll have Jazmin, who will go over the recent developments with our tech products, and she will go over what you might see in the future. And to finish it off, we'll have SpartacusRex as well, talk about Bitcoin and Minima. And I forgot to mention it, but we will also have an update from our CEO, Hugo, who will go over a quick, I can't find
various things. Lots of things. Lots of exciting things, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sorry, took some time. The community member of the month. Let's talk about Mulu quickly. So, Mulu is a ninja. I don't know, you might have seen them around. And he's been with us for quite a while now, and he's actually been working on a MiniDapp, which is a dashboard for your node, which looks awesome. And, I hope you guys will be able to test it out soon. It's currently in an alpha, only we have access to it. And he's written a little text because he's not confident enough to speak on stage. So I'm going to be reading his text for you guys quickly. So he said, "Hey everyone, I'm Mulu, an educator at a secondary education institution where mechatronics is my playground in the daytime and a minimum maverick when the sun goes down. My journey with this decentralized darling began in the sunny month of July 2022. What really hooked me, the sheer magic of Minima's fully decentralized world. A breath of fresh air in a digital era that's often too centralized for its own good. Right now, I'm diving headfirst into developing my very first app, with eyes set on a beta release this coming March. It's a thrilling adventure, much like assembling a complex puzzle, but with digital pieces. I'm super eager to chat with everyone in the community call, but here's the kicker. My verbal English skills are a work in progress, and I wouldn't want to assault your ears with my linguistic experiments. So I'm sticking to writing this time, to save us all from a comical yet confusing Mulu monologue. Why am I passionate about Minima? Imagine finding a unique treasure in a world of duplicates. That's Minima for me. It's not just a platform, it's a gateway to innovation, and I'm here for it. One block, one byte, and certainly one chuckle at a time. Can't wait to see where we all go from here in our Minima journey. Cheers." So, thank you for that. I read it obviously before, but it was a very enjoyable.
I wanted Mulu to read that. That was very well written. His skills
he said it.
Right. He should have said that. That was good. He could have said that. He could have read that out.
I tried to convince him. I tried.
Right.
So, Jazz, I think you're quickly going to show the DApp.
Yeah, let me see if I can share my screen and show you guys Mulu's app.
Absolutely.
Jazz, have you got your microphone working yet? Just checking, because you're still,
you're
still having problems with the greatest headset of all time. But yeah, I can tell it's not coming through the Bluetooth headset. It's fine. It's fine. But
okay. So, for those who want to see Mulu's
Is that audio better?
Oh, much better. There you go.
Great. Right. Cool. Right. Okay, so this is Mulu's app, and it's just a MiniDapp that I've installed on my node. Just reloading. And here, obviously, it's pulling through my Maxima name. I can see my balance, sendable, unsendable. Up here, I've got notifications. Can check my wallet addresses and my Maxima profile, my Maxima address. Here I can see my node version, current block, RAM, current price of wrapped Minima, think I've even got some settings here. Light and dark mode, different colors.
It's a very pretty app. I mean, it's really, really very, very good, Mulu. It's embarrassingly good, frankly. It puts some of our apps to shame, if I'm going to be honest. But
and then just a simple send feature. And here we've got Mini Store, which looks like the DApp store. So different verified, unverified, new MiniDapps. I can share MiniDapps. And then we have an NFT corner.
That is a very nice feature, if I may say so myself.
Very nice. Yeah.
It's actually made me think about how to knock this up in a simple way, this sort of NFT market, because there's a very simple script you can use, Mulu, and I'll have to show it to you, explain it to you. You know, if you send an NFT to an address that says verify out, you know, you can spend me if you send me this much. It'd be very easy to set up an NFT marketplace for real. You know, where you could buy and sell these things for minima.
That would be great. And there's even a kind of bidding system here for NFTs and comments, thumbs up, thumbs down. And then we have a live price feed. Minimum commands. Look.
Took quite a while as well. I mean, I was harassing him for like 6 months to get my hands on this.
And a link to the docs as well. So yeah, just a brief walkthrough. Like it a lot. It's a brilliant example of what the community can do, just bringing various pieces of functionality within the app together. So well done, Mulu.
Very nice. This is the zeitgeist. This is what we want. We want people to be able to knock up MiniDapps. I stick my hand up and say that, you know, I think we could, I don't know, whether we need more chats about it, more dev go-throughs. I know it can seem daunting to write a MiniDapp, but once you get your head around it, it's actually very simple to knock up MiniDapps. But that's the first one that's really impressive. Very good. Very nice.
Well, he managed to do that without our assistance as well. I mean, it's quite, yeah.
Imagine what he could do with our assistance if we were actually, you know, but very good.
Yeah, honestly. So moving on, we're going to have our CEO. So Hugo is going to go over a couple different things. So
thanks, Neo. Hi, everybody. I say great work, Mulu. Thank you very much for that. Very exciting to see that all coming up together. Second month of 2024. And it already feels like a very different vibe to 2023, which I'm very happy about. Lots of positive momentum, energy, lots of discussions going on, lots more capital coming into the industry again, which is fantastic. And we've got lots of updates for this call, actually. So I'll crack into it. First one is just in terms of funding, and we're doing the final stages now of KYC paperwork for our 2 million round, which basically gives us the base level of runway through this year, which is very, very good news. Obviously, we'll be looking to sort of capitalize that and build on that as well, but all very good news for the team here and for the community as well, and that side of things. In terms of, it was actually mentioned in one of the questions as well, we are also going to, now that we have our new market maker in place, we're going to be making a positive announcement about a new exchange trading venue to give our community better access to trading wrap minima. We're going to be doing that in the next couple of weeks. So watch out on our socials for that announcement. But again, we're pleased to be able to announce that, and hopefully it'll be sort of the start of more announcements like that to come. And again, what was also mentioned in the agenda is DePIN, and also in some of the questions as well. Now, obviously, DePIN is a hugely hot topic at the moment. Many ways, investors are looking, they're looking for an area to be able to invest in that's looking for genuine use cases and deliver real world use cases and real world solutions. DePIN is using tokens to incentivize building real world infrastructure. And at the moment, big moves in wireless connectivity, data storage, streaming, transportation. And as of course, Minima is perfectly positioned to be part of that. And that's something we're now going to really sort of make a big thing of. I mean, if you imagine, with Minima being the only blockchain that runs in full of the edge, this is a game changer for DePIN in the device agnostic. And we're also the perfect platform for DePIN projects to build on as well. So obviously it allows us to deliver secure payments, secure messaging, all completely peer-to-peer and at the edge. And so this is something that is going to really put us into a very strong position to jump into this area. And we're going to be announcing this month our sort of official entry into the DePIN space with our first partnership with a very exciting project that is already making waves within DePIN. What we're going to be doing as well at the same time is updating our website to deliver this narrative, and a lot more comms about it as well. So very exciting times, and so watch this space in terms of our announcements, in terms of partnerships. If anyone in the community has specific projects that they think would be good for us to partner with, then please let us know. Please let Neo and Luke know, and we'll obviously follow up with those. But again, our initial conversations with a number of DePIN players have been very positive, and everyone's very excited about being able to actually run full nodes on devices. And so again, it's a very exciting area that we're going to be sort of giving more airtime to and more positioning around. So watch this space. That's it from my side. And I'll jump into the questions at the end when we get them. But I'll hand back over to you, Neo.
So can I just quickly say something about this DePIN thing, which is very exciting, because obviously Minima is very cool and very exciting and it runs on everything. But what I find quite interesting about the DePIN stuff is that a lot of these projects have blockchains and then they have specific hardware. So one example of this would be the Helium network, where they have this router that you can log into and pay for tokens and then use their internet bandwidth. And one thing that we may be overlooking is the power of your mobile phone. So because Minima is geared towards running on your mobile phone, that's a very powerful piece of hardware, which actually does a lot, if not everything, that I have seen the other DePIN hardware do. And I think the routing one is a good example where your phone can be a hotspot, and you could actually write an Android application that started up a hotspot and then allowed people to log into you and then got you to pay them in tokens and then gave them internet access. I have a little deep dive into that, and it's perfectly possible. And so it's interesting because it's almost like you already have the hardware, available to you because your mobile phone, because mobile phones are basically becoming everything, to do almost all of the projects that I have seen out there. And that's another, so obviously you can install Minima on these other IoT devices and these pieces of hardware that they've got, and that's very cool. But actually you could just use your phone and then, as always, decentralize these projects in a way that was maybe not thought possible before. It's there's two elements to this, not only the blockchain bit with the Minima, but it's running on your phone. And what can your phone do? Your phone can basically do just about anything. So you could actually run it just as an application on your phone and do a lot of what we see happening out there, which is very exciting. Thanks.
Indeed. So we're going to move on and have Luke give us an update on the Athena Labs partnership, as well as the DePIN listing on CoinGecko. So Luke, I'll let you go on ahead.
Cheers, Neo. Thanks for that. So yes, Decentraday. On the 20th of December last year, we turned off the last remaining Minima run infrastructure. That's 24 servers in total, 16 network relay nodes and 8 archive nodes. And from that moment forward, Minima became the world's most decentralized blockchain in history. So now the protocol exists solely in the servers and mobile nodes run by our partners, but most importantly, by you, our loyal community. Others may tread in our footsteps in the future for sure, but we will always be the first to have done it. And you, all of you here, will have been the pioneers that helped make it happen. A huge and heartfelt thank you from all of us to all of you minimists who dared to join us on the journey to Decentraday. So thank you. and then looking at Athena Labs and CoinGecko. So since our last call, we've begun the process of engaging key partners to help us in our marketing goals. The first of these is Athena Labs. Athena Labs are an agency of seasoned Web3 marketing experts who have scaled blockchain brands across the industry. Since their launch, they have grown into a full-service growth engine covering PR, social media, influencers, SEO, search engine optimization, and much more. So they're working with us on brand repositioning, social media strategy, PR, influencer outreach, and community partnerships. And the first part of this work, the repositioning, is now reaching its close. And in the coming weeks, you will start seeing our messaging change in line with our DePIN ambitions, along with changes to our website along with it. In other news, blockchain aggregator CoinGecko has recognized this as a DePIN project, listing us within their top DePIN coins category, where we join around 70 other projects, including names like Helium, Filecoin, IOTEX. And I'm happy to report that as recently as last week, we are additionally listed for a period as the number one gainer within that category, which is really exciting for us to see. And we aim to see that happening far more often going forward. And then the final piece of news for me is we have a number of exciting partnerships to announce before the end of the quarter, including a strategic partnership, which you should be hearing more about this week. That's everything from me. Cheers, Neo.
Thank you, Luke. Onwards,
Yeah.
we'll have...
Sorry, can I just one quick thing? I'm sorry I keep interjecting, but we do talk about these very interesting, exciting things. And I just wanted to I mean, Decentraday was a huge success, and congratulations to everybody who took part in that. But I think it really does show one of the fundamental differences between a business and somebody who's trying to do a blockchain. No business would cut themselves out of the equation. No organization that was running a system would say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to remove ourselves so that we're no longer critical for this thing to happen, so that actually somebody else can come in, so that other people can be involved in it, that we won't be the linchpin that is required. This is a very anti-business thing to do. Obviously, I want to be part of it. Obviously, I need to be in this, a central linchpin of the whole idea. Otherwise, what's going to be happening? But this is absolutely fundamentally crucial if you want in my opinion, if you want your blockchain to work, because that means that there is no centralized part to it. And it's a very weird one because I don't think a lot of people understand this. And when you look at all the projects out there and all the, aside from all the wonderful things that they're doing, this element of it where you say, look, Infura, look, ETH Foundation, we really need you to shut down. We really need you to remove yourself from the equation. They're not doing that. Why aren't they doing that when that is a requirement for your blockchain to be decentralized? And, without it being decentralized, there's no point doing it. So it's a very blockchain thing, and it's not what you would expect any normal business to do. And actually, to bite the bullet and do it is something that we're just not seeing out there in the space. Everybody tries to keep their control over whatever section of the project that they have. And in fact, there may have been some jostling on our own part as to whether we should or shouldn't do that, and the truth is that you have to take those steps, where in the short term they may seem like, oh, this is going to not be a good thing, but in the long term they definitely are. So really, really, really proud of the fact that we have done that and that you have all joined us on that journey. And not something that we're seeing out there at all, actually, and weirdly something that is absolutely essential for any of these blockchains to work. So congratulations. Well done, team.
Thanks, Paddy, for your interruption. It was worthwhile. So we're going to move on. So it'll be Jazmin's turn now, and she will be going over a tech product update, MiniDapps.
Thanks, Neo. Yeah, so I'll kind of introduce them, and then Paddy can talk a bit more about each one of them. So the first one is Shoutout, and the whole kind of purpose behind Shoutout was to create a new Lego block in Minima's stack where users could send messages not only to their friends as it works on Maxima, but actually to the whole network and using the blockchain. So we know Maxima works off-chain. You add your friends, you can send them messages, which is great. But how do we send messages if we want to send it to everyone on the network? So this is the tech that we've been working on. And with this tech, we've come up with Shoutout, which is a kind of public social forum for threaded, categorized discussions, a bit like Reddit, but decentralized and censorship resistant and over the blockchain. So, Paddy, do you want to go into more detail about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very well described there, Jazz. That's exactly what we're trying to do. And I think this is, again, to do with us. If we wanted to, build a development community, if we wanted to build a community around any aspect of the Minima protocol, how can we do that when I can only talk to my friends? Maxima is frankly working beautifully at the moment. I hope you've all been noticing that with your Maxima contacts and green. Yeah, I'm green for 20 contacts for months now. But that's not really a wide enough reach. And so can we use the Minima blockchain to distribute messages? And of course you can, if we can do NFTs and images, we can obviously do text and words and everybody can get that. And we can, aggregate that information and display it to you in a palatable format so that you can use it. And this is hopefully going to be, the beginnings, how do we decentralize the actual process of maintaining Minima? How do we decentralize the process of this? Is it possible to have this in a decentralized environment? We're still running on Discord. If they wanted to turn that off, if they wanted to turn our server off, they still could. Not saying that they will, but they can, and we have to remove that liability from our stack. And so that is where Shoutout comes in, and it's nice because blockchains have their own mechanism for throttling bandwidth. Blockchains have their own system for limiting the amount of traffic that can go through because you have to pay for those transactions. So actually, it's not a system that can just explode. It's a system that is already contained by the fact that you're using, messages over the Minima blockchain. And in fact, you can prevent spam by saying, look, we only want I only want to show messages that people are really, spending more than, 0.1 of a minima. If you said, look, I only want to see messages that people pay 1 minima or 10 minima, yeah, you could do whatever you wanted. And that would be a really nice way of filtering the traffic through the network. But yeah, it's a global messaging system, which is going to be, I'll be honest, there's going to be moments when, just to say, this is really the first product where you might have to be a little bit careful about what you see on there. It is censorship resistant. This is the raison d'etre. This is what we're trying to do. This is the personification of freedom is a two-way street. And so when people say things you don't like, or when people say things that you don't agree with, don't listen to them. There's lots of functionality in the application for allowing you to block groups or certain threads or messages or users or all of that. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, what people decide to talk about, what they decide to say, and how we're going to react, how you're going to react when, somebody you don't like says something, that you don't agree with. Because that is exactly the point, that they are allowed to say that to whoever wants to listen. And if you don't want to listen, you don't have to. This is how freedom works. So, it'd be very interesting to see how that plays out. But the tech itself is, basically simple. And it was just a question of knocking it up into a MiniDapp. And it's had many knock-on effects. I now use the Shoutout technology and some of the other things I'm going to be talking about, the DEXs and SEXs. And so, it's nice when you get these primitives that you can use in your code, how you use them in other projects. So we call it Shoutout because you shout it out to the network. And it's just a messaging system that everybody gets. And what you do with that information is up to you, of course. So,
and it's essentially a protocol that anybody who's building a MiniDapp could incorporate into theirs.
Yeah. Yeah, very, be very easy to use. I mean, you may not want to use the exact same, addresses and whatever that Shoutout is using, but the protocol itself is like one function with 20 lines. And you just mentioned messages, and it's all signed and cryptographically secure, so no one can pretend to be me, and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's an interesting way of thinking about this space and freedom and communication and what I can do and what I can't, and what I can talk about and what I can't. Can I integrate Git into it? Git is the way that programmers interface with each other about their code, and is there some way that I can use? Because that for me is the current, is the thing that hangs over me. It's like, I still use GitHub. That's controlled by Microsoft. I'd much rather a decentralized version of that where, I guess the goal is really to only use Minima and MiniDapps. Imagine if the only applications you use were MiniDapps. and you just opened up Minima and you did it, and everything that we did was censorship resistant, and everything we did, was able to operate inside the Minima ecosystem. I think it is possible to do that, frankly, and this is the first step in, a final piece of the puzzle, the sort of communications element of it. So
it's a big
interesting
goal.
to see how that plays out. Yeah, we got to do it. It's got to happen.
Okay, cool. So the next one up is Vault, and everyone's familiar with how to lock your node with a password. And obviously this is good practice and good for keeping your node secure in case your kid grabs your phone and tries to send Minima somewhere. But it does mean that when you want to make a transaction, you have to put your password in, and then for a brief period of time, your node's unlocked, and then it gets relocked automatically. But is there a way that we can make that better? So Vault is a solution which allows you to have essentially a hot wallet and a cold wallet on your phone or on your single node. So Paddy, you can explain more about how it works.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm completely honest, the locking system of Minima, I like it. Everybody does. That's how they do it. You lock it, you remove the private keys, and that's great. But it's just a bit clunky, and the UX is a little bit, the user experience, not the UE. How you use your Minima interface. If you ever have a service running in the background trying to do something, which again is pertinent at the moment because I'm writing, a DEX, blah blah blah. It doesn't work, because you need to be typing in your password. And actually, I think a better way of thinking about it is that you have your savings account and your current account. And what you want is you want to put your Minima and your tokens into something which is not touchable. That aspect is all password locked. And then you have your current account, which is the Minima that you just have there free, able to access and able to be used by all the MiniDapps in the background. So what Vault does is it locks coins. So when you open the MiniDapp, it allows you to send coins, but it requires you to type in a secret phrase. And that secret phrase is not stored on the device. Yeah, you're the only one that keeps this. And this is separate to your private keys. Yeah. So what this means is that actually, even if somebody got your phone and even if it was unlocked, they still wouldn't be able to access the coins in your vault because they are a separate, another layer where you can use whatever password you want. You can use maybe a password that is more easy for you to remember. Yeah, you could use some 16 character something that is in your mind and that as long as it's unique. Yeah, as long as nobody else is going to use that 16 character password, then you can lock up some coins. And it's nice because it means that you can still have coins in your wallet to muck about with and to send without having to worry about it. You can even put MiniDapps in write mode. So, shout out, for instance, is an example where you have to do a transaction whenever you want to send a message. And if you have it in read mode, then you always have to go to pending and blah, 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 and do all of that. Whereas you could just have the coins in your wallet, in your current account, your Minima main wallet. And then you could put your main bulk of your coins in your savings account, which is locked behind another password. And I'd kind of like to see a shift towards that. So maybe in the Mini Hub where the padlock is, when you click that, it opens up Vault and it says, look, what do you want to put in the Vault? Yeah, which no one can access, even if your node is unlocked and even if they grab your phone. That's what Vault is for. Very simple app. These financial things, these are really what, blockchains are designed for, frankly. And this is one of those sort of nice sort of examples of things that we just don't have in the real world. I don't actually have this ability with my HSBC account, et cetera. It's all theirs. They got access, it's all in the database. But with this technology, you can do some, it's a nice thing that you can do with money on a blockchain. So again, look forward to playing with it. If
you were to sync with your original seed phrase, you'd get your vaults back as well.
Yep, because we put your public key as one of the state variables, which means that coin is always relevant to you. So if you resync, your vault coins reappear. You would need to remember your password. We don't store that, and so you're the only one that can access the vault coins, but they do reappear in Vault when you resync. So that's really nice. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so the next one is the public wallet. I think we're still working on a name for this. And one of our main pain points is how do we help people who can't run a node or maybe aren't technical enough to access a native Minima wallet? So Paddy will talk about the Mega MMR, but essentially the public wallet will allow users who have a node running on a server to provide a public interface to a simple wallet that anyone can log into, and they can hold, they can send and receive minima. And do you want to go into a bit more detail?
Well, yep, this is technology that popped out of Vault, actually. And so, as Jazz said, there are still people out there who don't have a minimum node. I'm looking at you, iPhone users. And so how is it going to be? How can we let these users on? Another interesting aspect of this is that we're trying to work with Coinbase at the moment to see if we can get it integrated into Coinbase. So, if you want to have just a wallet, just a website that I can log into and just go, boy, here's my password, there it is, and I don't need to be running a minimum node. How can you do that? And obviously, when I was writing this, it kind of bugged me because Coinbase is so centralized. And it's like, well, look, if Coinbase gets hacked, all the coins go. And is there some way that we can decentralize this? And is there some way that we can actually let every single user who's running minima offer people the same abilities that Coinbase does? And so when you're trying to integrate with these massive exchanges or these people who run big wallets, they've got millions of users. Minima runs, as you all know, with the proof database with this thing called an MMR, which is like this hash tree, and the end, the root is what everybody keeps track of, and everybody just looks after their coins. Incredibly, incredibly good and efficient for one user. But actually, once you start adding thousands of users, millions of users, whenever you see a transaction on Minima on your phone, you obviously process all the transactions. It looks at the transaction and it goes, hey, is this relevant to me? Do I need to look after this coin, or can I ignore it? Now, when you've got one user, that's easy. But if you've got 100 million users, if you're Coinbase, you don't want to be checking every address versus 100 million table every time you see something. So the easiest option to do is just to say, well, look, I'm just going to store all of the proofs. I'm just going to have what we refer to as a mega MMR, which means that I will have the complete tree of all the unspent coins. Doesn't give you private keys, doesn't give you any of that information. It just means I have all the proofs that I need to construct transactions. So we have now added this to the basic Minima, to the Minima application, because we needed this technology for exchanges. And what this means is that it uses up about 1 gig of RAM. So it's going to be interesting to see, phones are getting more and more powerful. And eventually 10 years from now, phones will be just as powerful as any computer you need. But for now, it's probably more of a server thing, people who run it on their servers. And then you can just say, right, I want to run the Mega MMR. Fantastic. And you now get a public website. So when you all log into your mini hub, you go to the 127.0.0.1/9003 or whatever it is. And it goes, hey, we'll type in your password. Well, now there's another thing which you can do, which is 127.0.0.1/9003/public MDS. And if you activate it, anybody can open that page. And currently, when you open that page, we have 2 applications available, although we do see, the ability to add more applications in future, like Future Cash, Investor, et cetera, et cetera. And you get block and you get wallet. So you get a blockchain explorer that anybody can muck about with. And you get this thing, as Jazz said, we're still trying to work on a good name. We call it Mega Wallet, but public wallet, some way of doing it. And this is a non-custodial wallet, which means that you get the web page, you get the mini, it looks like a MiniDapp, and you type in a secret phrase. We're very into these secret phrases at the moment. And then you get a wallet, which says balance, send, and receive. And all of that is based on the secret phrase that you have typed in. And then when you want to send or you want to, create a transaction, you do all of that. So the node itself doesn't keep any of the information. The node itself doesn't store any of the data. It just has all of the coin proofs. So when you say, look, this is my address, these are my addresses, which is generated from this secret code, I would like to make a transaction to send to Jazz. The Mega node can create that transaction for you, and then you sign it, and then you send it. And what's really nice is that anybody can run this. So you can log into anybody's machine. And if Jazz is running a server that does the Mega node, I log in with my super secret phrase, Paddy, and then I get my wallet. And then I go, okay, nice. And then I go over and I log into Neo's public website and I use Paddy and I get the same wallet with the same address, same send, receive. So what it basically means is like Minibase. We've basically given every user the ability to run their own version of Coinbase, and you can log into any of them with your phrase, and you get a wallet, which you can send and receive from. So this might be for family members, whatever. But as Jazz says, iPhone users, something, we'd like to hook up a version to wallet.minima.global, so that if anybody wants to just have a node, just have a wallet without actually running a node, they will be able to. Obviously, these things are possible. As much as I would like everybody to run a native Minima node, which is the most secure way of doing it. If you want to have just a website where you can log into and type your password in and do it, off you go. But the important bit is that the node itself doesn't store anything. It's a non-custodial wallet. It doesn't have access to the coins. Everything is based around the keys that you type in on the front end. And then the back end just makes the transaction, and then you sign it. So that's going to be really nice. Be interesting. I mean, you have to run the Mega MMR. So I'm not sure how many of you are actually going to be able to run this yourselves. It's very simple, just one parameter on the command line when you start it. But it does mean that we're going to have that ability now. And again, that primitive is being used in all the technology that we're trying to write to integrate with the exchanges. So it'll be very interesting. And Elias has done a beautiful front end, much, much better than anything I can do. So it looks really nice, actually. Very, very, very pleased with it. Look forward to you playing with it.
So it's non-custodial, but it's quite important that it is trusted. It is a trusted solution.
It's trusted in the sense that if you ever use a website, obviously I can change the website, and I can say, whenever he says send, I don't want it to send it to where he's sending it to. I want you to send it to me. So whenever you use any sort of website, it's trusted because somebody could play with the code. And even though I tell you, no, this is actually, I'm sending it to the right person, in the back end, I can change that. The only way to get around that is really to have an offline machine for offline signing, which could be done. But if you're capable of doing that, I don't think that you're going to need to use a public wallet. But what I will say is that it is far, far better than using one website. So having 1,000 versions of Coinbase means that you have to, you can't just hack one site and get everybody's coins. If you hack Coinbase, you get all their coins. Whereas if thousands of people are running Coinbase, you have to hack each and every single one of them to hack everybody's coins. So although Jazz is correct, there are still issues with it. There's still the fact that you do have to trust the person who's running the node that you're logging into. I sort of expect you to log into the node of someone you know. Yeah, this is like I would give this to my wife and my kids, or I would give this to my friends. Yeah, and they would trust me so they can use it. They know that I can't access their coins unless I'm being particularly shifty. But it definitely distributes and decentralizes this idea of just having one website where you log into and keep your coins. So not perfect, but better than having one website that just stores all this information.
Great, thanks. And the fourth and final one is the native Minima to wrapped Minima bridge. So unfortunately, Miniswap is not the most user-friendly tool to use. So firstly, you have to find a counterparty, and then both parties have to be present for the swap to take place. And so the bridge is intended to make this process a lot smoother and also add some additional functionality to that as well. So do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah. So what is the dream? What is the goal of everybody who's trying to do these decentralized exchanges? What they want is they want a serverless, trustless, decentralized, atomic, cross-chain exchange. It's a lot of words there, but that's the dream. Yeah. What that means is that once we launch this, there's no servers running. Yeah, it runs on the minimum. That's where you shout out your order book. I use the shout out tech to shout out an order book, and I say, hey, here's my order book. I'm prepared to swap this much minima for this much wrap minima. And everybody can do this. And everybody can see this when they open the app. So it's serverless. And then you want it to be trustless. And so we use HTLCs. I'm not going to get technical and complicated with you, but this is basically a hash time lock contract, which means that I have secrets. And what it means is that the transaction is atomic. And by that, I mean that either both of us get our money or neither of us get our money. There is no scenario in which you get the money and I don't, or I get the money and you don't. It's an atomic transaction because of the HTLCs. And so we're trying to put all this tech together. We're actually writing an ETH wallet, MiniDapp, yeah, which I think is interesting because it shows that MiniDapps, obviously wonderful because they can interface with Minima, but you can't actually write anything as a MiniDapp. Yeah, you can actually write an Ethereum wallet as a MiniDapp, because MetaMask can't run in the background. So if I'm doing something and if I need my DEX to do a transaction in the background, I can't get MetaMask to do it because it always pops up the thing that says go, and you have to have the browser open, and it's just not a background thing. So we've written that, and that way we have the ability to send and receive minima and Ethereum ERC20s, et cetera, from the background. And when this launches, this is sort of like this is for me, it's very important that you can get in and out of a blockchain. Yeah, you got to be able to get in and get out. And unfortunately, I know that on the minima front, we have not really excelled at that. Yeah, the exchanges that we are members of, MEXC and Bitfinex, who have currently, kicked everybody off because they only want institutional investors at the moment, is not really global reach. Yeah. So with this tech, anybody should be able to get in and out of minima by using wrap minima. And the adjunct to this is that if you want to buy native minima, how do you do that? Well, the way you would do that is that you would buy wrap minima on Uniswap, and then you would trade the wrap minima for minima using Bridge. So there is now a clear decentralized path. Yeah, there may even be ways of integrating into Uniswap and doing it all in one transaction, et cetera, et cetera. To start with, we're only going to do minima wrap minima. So we're just going to do a bridge for minima and wrap minima, but obviously the tech could be used for anything. I could do minima to USDT. I could do USDT to a wrapped USDT coin on minima. Yeah. So once we've got this tech, we can then swap assets across chain atomically, trustless way, where the asset from the ETH chain comes on minima and the asset from minima comes on the ETH chain. And very, very exciting. This is again to do with all this exchange Coinbase integration. As I've said many times, the centralized exchanges are obviously cool. Yeah. And obviously we've got to use them, and they have huge reach and massive liquidity, and, they're fast. But the DEXs are where, that's where I live. That's where I want to go. I don't want to have to, there's no KYC, there's none of that stuff. You can do it with anybody. Nobody can stop you doing it. These are the things that matter to me. So all of this tech is to do with how do I exchange my minima for something else? How do I get it in and out of the system? As much as I would like to just stay in minima, there's obviously a requirement to say, well, look, it is actually possible to get in and out. And when we write this and we launch it, you'll all be able to do that. So, MiniSwap was a proof of concept, and it showed that it is possible to do that, but it was far too clunky, far too slow. This way, this is the upgrade. This is our MiniSwap V2, runs in the background, and I think you'll find it much, much better, much more useful.
This is the one I'm most excited for. Elias has also just added that it means we can use any Ethereum DApp on minima and any L2 Ethereum DApp on minima, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, we're sort of playing with this whole, because the thesis is this, just sort of to give a quick shot, you're going to have your wealth stored in a chain. Yeah, there's only one chain that is going to be your store of wealth, the place where you keep your assets, which you want to keep, which is your monetary good. The idea of side chains, that's great. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Ethereum is the side chain of choice. That's where it needs to be. Ethereum itself is not valuable. Ethereum itself is currently way, way too expensive. Yeah, that's not where it needs to be. It would work so much better if it was cheaper. Yeah, everything's broken on Ethereum because ETH is so expensive. But if you think of Ethereum as a side chain, so if I do want to do something with an NFT, or I do want to do a little swap, or I do want to something, then I can pop onto that chain, do what I want, and then I come back and I store my wealth on the minima chain. And so this is the beginnings of our process of integrating side chains, because obviously this tech works on Polygon and Matic and they're all EVM chains anyway. So once we get this going, you'll be able to jump onto any of the chains really and do what it is you want. But minima is where you store your wealth. Minima is where you your savings. Yeah, and these side chains are where you can do little other things, and that's where I think this is going. Yeah, that's where blockchains need to be.
Okay.
Thanks, Neo.
Thank you, both of you. So we're starting to be short on time. We've got about 14 minutes left. So we're going to start going over the stage questions that you and others posted over the past week. So I'm just going to quickly read through the first one, which is going to be answered by Hugo, our CEO. So this is a question from Dupnov. Why hasn't the Minima team considered listing on smaller, more accessible exchanges like SafeTrade or Trade Ogre, similar to early stage L1 success storage such as Caspa? Given their willingness to list new L1s and the potential for attracting L1 enthusiasts, what are the plans for leveraging this strategy to benefit Minima's growth and visibility, especially in light of recent trading volume improvements on MEXC?
Thanks, Neo. Thanks, Duknov, for this question. Yeah, that's a very, very valid question. And as you see from my initial opening announcements, we are definitely looking at this, and we will be announcing a new trading venue very shortly. But again, we'll be looking into others as well. And as you pointed out, now that our sort of volumes are looking much better, and we have a market maker that we are working very well with, then we'll be looking to extend this out to further exchanges. So yes, and yes is the answer to that.
Technically, I have to say that none of the exchanges can really integrate us until we had the Mega MMR. So
we're talking wrapped. We're talking wrapped at the moment, Paddy.
Oh, I see, just for wrapped. Okay, no.
Wrapped. So there's wrapped at the moment, but then obviously we're working on the MMR for the other centralized exchange for native as well. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Another question from Saragaki. How can we provide the opportunity to use the Minima node to people who do not have the technical capability? So part of this question was actually answered during this call, which was the Mega MMR, the point of having a Minima wallet that, is for less techie people. But whilst we wait for that, we've already actually noticed that some of our previous guides and videos on YouTube are outdated. So we're going to be providing newer updated videos soon enough on how to manage your node. And our docs have also, we've also realized that the docs were quite complicated for some, so there might be some more simple docs coming perhaps in the future. Aside from that, the next question, which is also from Dubnov, I think this one will be for, Hugo or Luke, I don't know. DePIN, or decentralized physical infrastructure networks, is a rising trend in the crypto space. Minima is well positioned within this category. How does the team intend to capitalize on this opportunity?
Yeah, I don't know if Hugo have anything further to add, but in short, we're already busy working to do just that. I already mentioned our listing on CoinGecko, and we have others that we're pursuing. But we're working essentially to firmly set out our stall in the wider DePIN ecosystem. You're going to be hearing much more about this through our marketing and partnership updates that we'll be making in the coming weeks. Hugo, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, no, exactly. Spot on, Bob. We're definitely going to be doing that. In a funny way, we've already been starting to do it in our own way, sort of on an enterprise level, with our sort of the tokenization of the EV charging network and helping to expand that network out for the OEMs as well. So there's a narrative, not a sort of volte face of anything we've suddenly changing to do. We're not pivoting. We're actually just sort of really ramping up the activity that we're going to be already been doing and really taking it into a sort of a narrative that the industry is getting excited about. And so, that's going to be including, Twitter Spaces, podcasts, and as Luke said, partnership announcements. So yeah, definitely more to hear from us on that side of things.
Okay. Thank you. On to the next question, which is from Jonas. Are Minima and Telcos branded tokens, as well as the Vault project, still being worked on? Before I give this question off to Hugo, I just wanted to quickly cover out, we've realized that there are two Vaults. You have the Vault MiniDapp and the Vault project, as mentioned by Jonas. So these are two different things. Earlier, we were talking about Vault, which is a MiniDapp that is going to be released. And now Hugo is going to cover Vault, the partnership or project for EV charging.
Yeah, we probably should have thought about different spellings. Yeah, one spelled V-O-L-T and the other spelled V-A-U-L-T. So watch out for the spelling there, but maybe we'll make it clearer. But no, absolutely, we are absolutely making good progress in both the sort of the Vault side of things in terms of EV charging. We'll soon be receiving a wall box that they want, that our sort of our partners are looking for us to embed Minima nodes in order to sort of test this out. And from a telco perspective, we have a number of very exciting conversations going on with major telcos with regards to Minima being embedded on the phones, and also sort of the ad network concept, plus some other ones as well, which we'll hopefully be able to announce quite soon. I mean, obviously, the challenge we have with sort of operating with these large enterprise clients is that we're always under strict NDA with them. And so there's only a certain amount of information that we can put out in the public domain until we hit certain milestones within their organizations. So we are definitely, the fact that we're sort of potentially quiet on it in our sort of public sphere doesn't mean to say that we're not working very hard on it in the background. And we will be hoping to be able to make some sort of more public announcements with our development in this area soon. But yeah, we're definitely working full steam ahead on both those areas.
So I'll just say from a technical point of view, in trying to integrate with these businesses always shows us the same thing. So all these big businesses, they come to us and say, hey, we want to use, let's do it. Clearly that isn't going to work, in my honest opinion, as in we can't do 100 businesses because we're just not large enough to handle 100 businesses. But what it does show us is what is the technology that we could write to make it possible for a business to start using Minima without speaking to us. Yeah, what if a business just wanted to accept money in their coffee shop? What if a business wanted to, not just the telcos? What if we've got the EV charging, we've got the telcos, we've got Porsche cars that want to record data, and I think all of this really points to MEG. And what we refer to when we say MEG, we're talking about the Minima Enterprise Gateway, and it's a very relatively simple piece of tech. And what it does is it means, how do I interface my tech that I've already got running in my business with the Minima network? And actually the simplest way to think about this is, well, I need some sort of API interface, don't I? I need to have some sort of website that says, look, I want you to send a transaction, or I want to check a balance, or I want to create a token, or I want to and that all needs to be done with APIs. And then when something happens on the Minima network, it calls out on an API, which we've sort of got with the webhooks. But really what we need is this bridge, this tech bridge, so that people who already have technology running in their businesses can just run the MEG, and then they can do stuff on Minima, and they can check stuff, and they can send stuff, and they can be notified when things happen on the Minima network. And actually, if we had that piece of technology, all of these companies could start using Minima without having to speak to us. And so rather than forcing them to come to us to say, hey, we want to use Minima, can you help us, blah, 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 what would be better would be if we had this technology which just allowed them to do it, and that a relatively decent medium capability programmer could then say, well, look, I've got MEG. I don't need to know anything about Minima, really. I just run this software, and then I can do stuff, and it can tell me stuff. And that's the bit of tech that I think we don't currently have and that we're working on. And when we have that, it'll be much, much easier for these businesses, whoever they are, to try using Minima. And not just big businesses, small businesses. How does somebody at home who's running their little business or medium-sized enterprise, etc., integrate with the Minima network? And that's, I think, the tech that we need to be working on, so that all of them can use it without having to speak to us.
Thank you, Patty. So onwards to the next question. Sorry, let me find myself. Right. From Hayes Shoutman. I don't know how to pronounce that, but we'll try. Which is a question for Jazz. Minima offers a simple and convenient way for creating NFTs. Is it possible for developers to utilize these NFTs or integrate colored coins into dApps such as Collab Land?
Yeah, I mean, developers can definitely utilize NFTs or Minima. Technically anything's possible. One interesting thing about NFTs or Minima actually is that they can be programmed with smart contracts to automatically include royalty payments when transferred to a new owner. And this is actually something that's not really possible on Ethereum. It's at the discretion of OpenSea and Rarible. So it's not actually enforceable, and it's not decentralized at all. So that's something that Minima does have with its NFTs. We do also have a community developer, DM, who is working on creating a token standard for NFT collections, and you'll find him in the developer chat. He's got a lot of good ideas around NFTs, and he's working on his own MiniDapp as well. So he might be a good one to speak to. Specifically with Collab Land, I think that's something that we'd have to look into with them because they would need to integrate us into their system.
And again, sorry, just to say that what we really need here is we need our ERC20s or MRCs, minima, what are they called? Research ideas. Anyway, so we need to specify the format for these NFTs. So currently it's very simple. You just make an NFT and you do it. But what would be nice is if you actually came up with MRC 1775, and that could be a standard that everybody could use, and then they could integrate that into those MiniDapps. So we're getting to the stage now, because minimum is sort of that first year that is behind us, where we were just making sure the network was running. I think we've crossed that bridge. I think we've got to a phase now on minimum where it's just running well. It just works, and it's like, wow, okay. And now we can start thinking about writing protocols, as in specifications for how you would set up your state variables and your token scripts, so that everybody can start using whatever token. And there will be many of these that don't work, and eventually one of them will be the ERC20 of the minimum world, which allows you to do something that everybody finds very useful and can integrate into their MiniDapp. So we're really now at the stage where we're trying to come up with specifications for what these tokens should do, how they should be built, what scripts they should use, et cetera, et cetera. And that simply wasn't possible before because we just weren't stable enough. But now we are. It's an exciting time to be working on that sort of thing.
Sorry, Patty, but 2 minutes, so thank you. So we've got two last questions for Jazmin. First one is from Matix. Are you going to release more tutorials for writing dApps and smart contracts?
I'm looking up there.
And
yeah, they'll come.
Okay, and then the last one, which is from Wizard, so another ninja. Tell us about the team's plans for translating the main app and the official MiniDapps. This is a recurring question that has yet to receive a proper answer.
Yeah, so this has been quite highly requested. Something that we started doing, but just because of resources, it's kind of been put on the back burner. But it's on the roadmap.
Yeah. What I will say is that the tech is now able, all of our wonderful Russian friends, we've got it now so that you can do any of the different UTF-8 characters, and that can be stored. You may notice on Chatter that you can do messages and whatever you want. Same with shout out, obviously, so we take that into account now, so you can use any of the different alphabetic scripts that you can, and that all works. But yeah, translating applications, it's interestingly not actually a technical challenge. It's more of, we don't have any French speakers. Well, we do actually, Neo. So you can go through all the apps, and it's actually not a technically difficult challenge. It's more of a resource intensive one where you have to have somebody who actually translates the applications for you. So again, maybe coming up with a standardized way of writing these applications so that all the text that they use is in a subdirectory, and then that can be just translated by any user, Japanese or Chinese or, all the wonderful languages out there. So we need to come up with a specification for that.
That's actually the idea. I think we're probably going to end up releasing files with a list of words we use in our current MiniDapps and whatnot, and that's a template for the community to use if they want to translate anything. I think they want an official solution, though. We'll see, as Jazz mentioned, maybe in the future. I don't know if anybody else had anything to cover before we end this community call.
On the translation front, I seem to recall somebody in the community had developed a MiniDapp that could translate.
It was a translated MiniDapp, I think. And I think
it'd be interesting if you could actually write a MiniDapp that translated MiniDapps. Yeah, which you could do. You could extract zip files, then look through it, then find any text that wasn't HTML code inside the things, and then an automated way of translating a MiniDapp into another language. That's a very good idea. That's a little MiniDapp. Somebody could write that.
Maybe. We'll have to see. Maybe Mulu will do it. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
I just saw one question from Lewis in the chat. I think this is talking about the public wallet. Is the secret phrase 24 words or just something you make up? If you just make it up, how do you make sure none are repeated?
Humans are incredibly bad at entropy. So that's a very good point. Like when you think you're coming up with something random, is it actually? And basically the answer is no, it's not. And so the 24 words is nice because that's, each word is 2048. So you get, your 10 bits per word, 240 words, 24 words, you get 240 bit. That's nice. But yeah, you can use any word you want. I guess, put some punctuation, put some stuff. I mean, this is, we give you an example. So we generate, we have given you a function for generating something which is truly random. And I would recommend you use the one that we give you. Interestingly, if you don't want to use the words and you actually just say, look, I just want a base 32 string, it's much shorter. Yeah, because the words are sort of human readable, you don't get to squeeze in as much entropy into a smaller space. And so for the public wallet, what I've got is a 128-bit 32 base 32 word, which is secure. And so, you can generate those yourself when you press generate, and it gives you an example, and you can use that one if you want. But if you want to use your own one, go for it. But be very careful because your idea of random is unfortunately mathematically not as random as you think it is. So you want to be careful there.
Okay. Well, I think that is it. So thank you very much to everybody who spoke, to everybody in the audience who was there to listen to us speak. And we will be doing these more often. They will be monthly, actually. So next one will be in March. So yeah.
Thank you, Nia. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Neo. Thanks, everybody. Great to see you all.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.